Modesto, and it's literally just like talk.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about like your podcast and like, it's mainly jiu-jitsu, obviously. Right?
That's what it was like most recently. It started off like I'm in real estate, so a lot of it was real estate in the beginning, and it's honestly it's just like when schedules align, it's like sometimes I don't know.
Are you a jiu-jitsu practitioner?
Yeah, I'm a blue belt, so I train at Odyssey, which we've got a really good relationship with Rick's gym. So
nice. So yeah, I asked because of having Rick on, and if it's jiu-jitsu heavy your show, then that's something we could definitely talk about too.
We can talk about. Have you trained?
Well, I never like took classes, but I've been rolling since like 95.
Oh shit! Okay.
But breaking is my thing.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But at the same time I was doing breaking, I was watching jiu-jitsu and UFC and Hickson and all those guys.
Shit. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, so, and I'm actually doing a documentary called Break Jitsu. The correlation of the two.
Dude, we got to talk about that.
Yeah,
that's like that's
what
perfect.
Saying. That's why I asked if it's a jiu-jitsu thing. We could talk about that.
It's not just jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's literally just like a blend of like whoever comes on. I mean, it's like the first person that I had was Greg, and then I had a couple guys that were like big in Atlanta real estate, like investors, like that type of thing. I've got actually a mortgage broker buddy of mine that he's supposed to be in town either this week or next couple weeks. He's going to come on. There's literally no like.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just letting you know that if that could be a talking point.
Yeah.
Too,
no, dude. Literally, that's like perfect. Like anything you can think of that, like I mean, at the end of the day, like I only know so much from like looking through your stuff. Mm-hmm. Like anything that you like want to talk about, feel compelled to talk about, like it's literally just like shooting shit for a couple hours.
Awesome. And how long you usually go?
I book them for 2 just in case like there's traffic or whatever. But most of the time it's like an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you've got to bounce, like this is all on your time. Like if you've like got a hard stop or something like that, just let me know.
I could probably do an hour.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. And this is the whole things are up on YouTube. Or?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I put the long form on YouTube, and then I just like chop all the clips and stuff, just because like I get way more exposure on the clips.
The quality's good, man.
Thank you.
I like the set too. I just made a set in my house as well, so I'm starting to drop more.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to, it's not really a podcast, it's just a think tank for me.
Yeah.
Just talking, experiences, stories, all kinds of stuff.
Dude, it's like, I don't know, there's something about when you like sit down and you're just like actually like whether or not it's with another person or yourself, and if it's with yourself, people are like, you're crazy. It's like, that's great. I get ideas that way.
Yeah. Is this a good place?
Yeah, I was going to say that's perfect. And then if you want to grab
a little closer, the better. If you want headphones, we have headphones, whichever.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Feel free to move it at any point in time.
Okay.
The closer you speak to it, the better it's going to be. You guys' audio is good. Just try to match the energy of each other.
Is the headphones right here?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, let's test them.
Are you from Atlanta, or where are you from initially?
I'm from California.
L.A. or?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I lived in L.A. for 18 years, but I'm from Northern California.
Okay.
From Modesto.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of that. Like,
I feel like I have.
Where the Diaz brothers are from, the 209.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I had a buddy of mine that lived up there. He was in San Jose for a while, but that's not super close, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
We would drive to San Jose like every weekend for jams and events and stuff like that. So, right, Modesto is like Central Valley, and then you have San Francisco, which is like an hour and 15, and San Jose is also like an hour and 15.
Okay.
So Sacramento too, right there. It's all right there. Bay Area.
I was about to say, they don't get hit with wildfires that far north, do they?
No, not really. That's LA, man. They're getting fucked up right now.
Dude, I've been like following shit on Twitter where it's just like the most like dystopian looking shit everywhere. It's just like blocks and blocks of houses just like burned through. And I'm like, that is horrifying.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. And I've seen that a lot. And that was another reason why I had to go.
When were you in LA from?
From 98 till right before the pandemic, 2020.
What made you move?
I moved like at the perfect time.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
What made you bounce out?
A lot of reasons, man. Change. Just I did everything that I wanted to do in LA. Kind of checked off all the boxes, and then the cost of living there, and just I can do what I'm doing from anywhere in the world. I don't need to be in LA. You know what I mean? So why not save money doing what I'm doing and make more money? Right?
I was going to say, like, it looked like you've got, like, I mean, obviously you've got a really big following, like, in, like, the breakdancing space.
Yeah,
and
for
like
the breaking world, yeah.
And, like, you've got, I mean, like you said, you're working on a documentary, and it's like that, okay, I can sit and work on a documentary if I'm sitting at a desk in LA or Atlanta or wherever.
Anywhere. And the entertainment industry in Atlanta and in LA was dying anyways. Like it's got a lot of rebuilding to do. So I already saw it and I was like, okay, it's time to go, you know.
I was going to say, is like we had so many, like being in real estate, we had so many people that moved over here from LA, like right in the immediate like aftermath of that. Like a bunch of clients I was working with are like, oh, well, we could buy an $800,000 condo in LA, or we can come to Atlanta and buy like a big $800,000 home that we can like have a family in or like whatever.
It's easy math, bro.
So and to the property taxes and the income tax, and everyone's like,
and it don't matter really what you do. Like everybody was leaving. You know,
that's weird.
Going to Texas or Atlanta, you know, Georgia. Those two spots specifically for some reason.
I wonder how many people left.
So many, and not just like, you know, people's companies, you know, moving their companies out of California. So
that's like a bad spiral to get in. Also, like how many people have to leave before there's like a marked difference in like the city, you know, because it's like LA is always known for like just like crazy traffic, and it's like this whatever city. It's like I wonder how many people have to bounce out of there before it's.
Well, you know, you get so many people leave, but then people are always coming in too from around the world, and they end up leaving too because they can't handle it, you know. But they got to learn for themselves. So, you know, LA is always going to bring money in, like it's always going to be like that. But you know, it's not the same LA that I came up in at all. Like, you know, and California for that matter. You know,
how old were you when you moved from Modesto to LA?
17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you move for breaking?
Yeah, for the entertainment industry.
Okay.
Yeah, for Hollywood, doing all that stuff. Yeah, before that, I was already like winning world championships like at 15, 16. And so that was the next step, you know, to get into Hollywood.
If you're winning world championships like 15 or 16, like how old do you start at?
I started at like 12, 13.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's like such a compressed time frame to go from like, oh, I think I'll try breakdancing to like, oh, damn, I'm really, really, really good at this.
Yeah, but I was also obsessive and trained like 4 times longer and harder than your average breaker. You know what I mean? So that's how I got good quick. And, you know, just having a creative mind and stuff.
That brings me to something I wanted to like ask you about. What does the training for breakdancing look like?
Oh, well, there's so many different avenues, and you know, it all depends on the person. Like the type of person I am, I like to be well-rounded and creative, so I don't stick to one element. I'm always like, okay, I'm going to train top rock, which is like dancing on top, for 30 minutes, maybe a warm-up, you know, but I'm creating at the same time while I'm doing that. And then I'll bring it down to the floor to like footwork, which is all the footwork patterns, you know, that we do, like 6-step, 3-step, all these fundamental moves, but it expands into whatever you want. You know, once you become, you know, proficient at dismantling the fundamentals and putting it back together in your own ways, it's endless. So footwork, I'll practice footwork for 30 minutes. And then, you know, there's other elements like threads, sweeps, freezes, power moves, the spinning on the head, spinning on one hand, air flares, like all the dynamic blow up moves. There's tricks. I mean, that's the thing about breaking. It's endless. It has no ceiling. So if you want to be one of the best, you got to train all these things. If you want to like win the biggest competitions and stuff like that, right? Because all the best are well-rounded. So you got to train all this stuff, but also, you know, always yoga helps with stretching, stuff like that, strength and conditioning. But breaking encompasses pretty much everything all in one. So you don't have to really lift weights that much because you're lifting your body up. If you're a powerful type of person in breaking, you're already throwing your body around. So
it's like calisthenics on steroids.
Yeah. And you're building that flexible muscle, that functional muscle. Is different. It's long, you know, rather than a barbell that keeps you like tight, like you're like the bar, you know, you're stiff. So I do work out too with weights, but light, you know, more reps, lightweight and stuff like that. So,
I was going to say, that seems like something where if like, obviously it's my impression from the outside looking in is that there would be like a certain body type or like a certain body composition that would be more beneficial to a breakdancer, and like you don't see anyone that looks like they're going to go onto a Mr. Olympia stage breakdancing. Nah.
Yeah, it's more of the thinner frame. I mean, you do see some thick people, but they're still flexible with their muscle. But yeah, just no real big dudes or females really. You're too tight like that. You're not going to be able to move and be comfortable having such a big frame like that. So usually, the top competitors in the world in breaking are, got a thinner frame, but ripped, right?
I was going to say, it's like you're absolutely diced because it's like you're carrying your own body weight around. At least all the videos I've ever seen of people breakdancing, it's like statically holding your body in place or supporting your entire body on your hand.
Yeah,
like,
and it's a trip to see like the difference in strengths, right? Take a bodybuilder strength; they're strong as hell, right?
You can say it.
But, okay, cool. I was wondering.
No,
they're strong as fuck, right? But ask them to do a handstand. You know what I mean? They can't do it, right?
Shit, ask them to scratch their own back.
Exactly, right? So, or little things like this. So it's a different type of strength. Like we can hold our balance on one arm, our whole body for, some people do it for a minute or longer. You know what I'm saying? Hop on one hand. That's one of the moves that I popularized in breaking is the one hand hop. Stuff like that. And that's strength, but just a different kind of strength. Right.
I was going to say just like an isometric hold, but it's also not just that. It's like, I mean, I would imagine your core has to be shredded because it's like you've got to keep your legs suspended in whatever position behind. Like,
and
that is
being
crazy.
Like a bodybuilder, yeah, you're strong, but now you're weighing like 250 or however much you weigh, and you got to carry all that, right? So that strength gets distributed in towards that whole body, and you're not going to be able to do a lot of stuff because your body's just too big.
I was about to say, it's like most of the guys that are that big don't have great cardio. I mean, like talking about the overlap between jujitsu and breakdancing, which like the more you're talking about it, the more I'm like in my head piecing it together. I'm like, oh my God, there's like all these different similarities. It's like, oh, well, in jujitsu, you could train for 4 hours.
Yep.
But are you just doing takedowns? Are you doing guard passing? Are you doing escapes? Are you practicing your finishing? Like,
yeah, I by watching jujitsu, I can see like the bigger guys, and some of them are really highly skilled, but maybe the attacks are more mellow and there's a lot of like resting, right? It's a slower pace, I would say, right? Because they don't want to get tired and they don't want to, lose their energy too quick and get tapped, right? As opposed to somebody, okay, so that's your game, right? So, a thinner frame guy can just like full speed ahead all the time, nonstop, always going for submissions, boom, boom. But you didn't get that, on to the next, until the opponent it's overwhelming.
They can just chain stuff. It's like anytime I'll train with a smaller guy, like number one, I'm like, okay, get a hold of them. Like get a hold of them and restrict their ability to move, particularly laterally, because like we've got guys in the gym that are like 150 pounds, but you blink and they're like halfway to your back and you're like, where have I gone wrong?
So quick.
And it's like, they're just like by you because they can move that much quicker. And again, I weigh like 230. So it's like, it takes a lot of energy for me to like manipulate my body and like get out. And then just like, by the time you escape, you're like, damn, now I'm kind of tired.
But you usually in side mount is your preference or mount?
Anywhere I can hold them. I mean, like in a gi situation, side mount is fine because you can grab the gi and you can like you have more ability. You can manipulate their legs. You can grab the pant or like the grab their pants and hold it down. But in no gi, if you're with like a smaller guy, honestly, it's at least for me, it's a bit more disadvantageous because there's nothing like there's not a ton of friction there, and there's a lot of room for them to like wiggle, and all you have to do is get your knee in. And the next thing you know, it's like you expended all this energy to get past. Now they've got a knee in. You're back in half guard. And you're like, all right, well, shit. Now I have to go back and try and pass again.
Yeah, just can't let them create space to work.
I was going to say, it's crazy. So when you're training for these like world championships that you're doing when you're a sophomore in high school,
for real,
which that's insane. When you're training for that, are you in your head putting together a more formalized routine? Like you said that a lot of what you're known for is like the creativity, like the crumbs that you leave behind while you're doing these things. Is it like an NBA play where you're like, we've got a rough idea of how we're going to do this? Or is it like an NFL play where it's like everyone knows exactly what they're doing? Or is it like completely freestyle? Like how is that structured?
The beautiful thing about our art form, our dance, is that it's everything all in one. So everything you just said is correct. All in one.
Okay.
Right. What I do have signature moves, like we call them blow ups.
Okay.
That for sure I'm going to do at the right time when the music dictates it, because we're dancing. You know what I mean? So it's not like you can't come with a complete set and expect it to work with the music that the DJ plays. You know what I mean? So you have to ride the beat and it will just happen at the right times. You know?
So you're not even picking the music?
Never.
That's insane.
It's all freestyle. So a lot of it is freestyle, but we do have our moves and sometimes we have sets, but they're broken up, you know, into sections, right?
Still, that's insane to me. It's like you're showing up and you're like, okay, I've got this bag of tricks that's like in my arsenal that I know I can go to. I've got whatever, like moves that can kind of link between these. I've got my blow ups.
Yeah.
I've got these blow ups that I can do. All of that is contingent upon like waiting for the music that this random guy that you like don't know decides to play. And so you're just kind of like forced again to freestyle,
and you have to do it all on beat. It's got to connect.
All on beat.
Yeah.
All free flowing. All while maintaining all of the shit that you're doing with your body, like performing. So it's like
upside
while you're
down, whatever position, all to the music. This is why I've been doing it for 31 years nonstop, because it's endless. It's just it's next level shit. You know,
that's so fucking cool.
Yeah,
that's got to be like when you're breaking in your head. Are you thinking? Like, how is your thought process divvied up between like, okay, well, here's kind of the direction the music is trending. Here's where I'm at in the break. Like, here's the movements that I'm performing. Here's where I want to get to. Like, how do you cycle all of that through your head?
It's hard when you're in the moment, and because breaking alone is hard to do. Now add all these other elements with the DJ and the beat and writing the music and listening and, you know, and you're battling somebody, so they might be talking shit to you. You know what I mean? Trying to get in your head. There's all these elements. The crowd, they could be cheering, booing. There's all kinds of shit going on around, right? So you have to put yourself in these situations and get the experience to perform good in those situations, right? Like a beginner going in there is just going to get eaten alive because it's too much to handle. It's, you know, it's the real deal. So for me, you know, I adapt to the music. I listen to what the DJ is playing and I understand the rhythms, and I go out there and I just ride the beat. And then, you know, beats usually have sections. Music, they have sections. So one section could start off like pretty mellow. So I'm going to be a little mellow, but I could still do hard moves. But my approach is like, okay, I'm waiting for that break, right? Because it's going to hit. And then once that beat leads up and that break hits, then I start going off. Then you start turning it up. So that's the flow state, right? Same like in jiu-jitsu, you know, you don't waste energy. I don't want to waste energy when the beat is mellow. But when it gets hype, I know to go off and hit my signatures and do all that shit to make the crowd go crazy and burn my opponent. And then, you know, just make sure I stick all my shit, get out of there, boom.
When you're going back and forth in like a breakdance like battle, how many exchanges are there? Like how many times are you going to, like if we're having a battle, how many times are you going to go? And like generally speaking, how many am I going to go? Like who gets to go first or who has to go, like who gets to go last? Like is that stuff that like, I mean, you have any say over? Like I have no idea.
It all depends on the format, you know. Different events are different, you know. There's crew battles and one-on-ones, 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, you know. So in crew battles, you don't get to go out as much, obviously, because there's more people and time limit and stuff like that. So crew battles are usually like 20 minutes long. So if I have a crew of 8 people, I may get to go out 3 times, you know, but you get a bunch of rest. So those are the best because you can really like give 100%. The one-on-ones are hard because breaking is so fucking hard. It's so tiring. People don't understand like till you try it, you know, like break for 20 seconds hard and you're going to be like winded and just want to stop, but you got to keep going. Like, so one-on-ones usually in competition format, you know, each round is like 3 rounds. Yeah. So, and then when you get to the finals, sometimes they're 5 rounds each. And it's just, you know, it's murder. It's hard.
And that's all consecutively, I'm assuming. And so it's like if you have like 3 rounds, like you have like a quarter, a semi, and a final. By the time you're in the 5th round of that final, you've already done 10 rounds of breakdancing
already.
And it's like, okay, now I have to, like, when it actually matters, hold all of this on. And two, it's like you have like muscular fatigue. Obviously your cardio is like shot at that point.
And the only rest you get is when your opponent's breaking. So it's not much.
How long are like, if you're in a finals of a normal competition, like how long are you going to be breaking for before he goes?
Well, at the top level, breaking round is usually like 45 seconds to a minute.
Or just all out?
All out. Like craziness.
It's like a hockey shift.
Dude, it's wild and it's tiring. And you have to put that poker face on, not like everything's all good, but it's not all good. Like even the youngest killers, they're all tired and just hiding it.
I was about to say, you're sitting there and it's like while you're doing these holds, like your forearms like quivering, like you're sitting there like, oh my God, everything is.
Yeah. And you don't want to like crash. We call them crashes when you fall and stuff like that, because that could cost you the battle right there. Just by falling once,
What made you want to get into it? Like what like piqued your curiosity?
In my junior high, I saw some kids breaking at school and I was like, what the hell is this? And I was always like a competitor and I would get into something and get really good at it, then move on to the next. I did that a lot. And breaking was the next thing for me. I saw that. I was like, yep, I'm going to do that. And it stuck for me. So it was my calling, my purpose. Like I truly found my purpose at a young age, and it's a super blessing. I feel like a lot of people maybe go through life without finding their purpose. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Because, everybody has a different life, work, family, whatever the case may be. Maybe that holds them back from finding that, but I was lucky to find it at a young age. So it helped me out a lot in my life.
At what point when you like between breaking, I mean, you like we said, you had a really condensed timeline. I mean, I'm assuming a really condensed timeline going from like starting at 12 to winning like world championships, 15, 16. Like at what point in there are you sitting there going, shit, I'm really good at this? Like how long in?
Probably my second year.
Okay. Was there like a particular moment where you were like, oh shit?
Yeah. So it's crazy to talk about this now because the world is so different. But in California at that time, we're talking about like 93, 94. There were no white breakers that were good, So me coming to like a hip hop event at the time, I would like stick out like a sore thumb, and then we have cyphers, like these circles where we go in and exchange and battles happen there. Those are like raw battles, not competition. This is like the club shit, the real shit, And, you create these ciphers at events and you go in and people are just going in whenever they feel the music and, exchanges. And it's a positive thing, but it can also turn into like some real raw battle type shit and get heated.
Yeah.
So whenever I would hit these ciphers back then, like I could see like people looking at me like I'm a joke already, because token white guy coming in trying to dance, but I used it to my advantage, and whenever like one of the best guys I would wait for like the best guy to go in and then I would go in and just blow it up, and everybody looked like they don't know what the hell just happened, So when I started to realize and see everybody's faces and see that I was able to do that at the highest levels in my areas, which is the Bay Area, which there's the best dancers, that's when I knew like I'm on to something,
Fucking Eminem of breakdancing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking
same
sick.
Time, everything, man.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, shit, I think that's like the same exact time that Eminem was coming up. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, and of course it's different now. Like, so many, white B-boys are so good all around the world, but at that time, there was only a handful. That's
got to be a really strange environment to go into where it's like you are the only white dude in this entire thing, and everyone's looking at you like, what the fuck is this guy gonna do?
Yeah, at first it's scary, and you think about my age at the time too, like,
oh fuck 13, yeah, you're 14 years old.
Yeah, but see, I knew like some of the best dancers that were older than me that I hung out with that were already 18, 19, and they would get me into clubs and everything. So that's how I even was able to be there.
Okay. Still, that is I was listening to a guy that was in skateboarding talk about it, and it has like a lot of really interesting parallels to that, where it's like you have this really weird environment that it's like definitely a very niche interest, especially at like getting very, very good at it. It's like I would imagine there's very few people that are like, I'm going to get really damn good at breakdancing.
Yeah, it definitely was a niche thing. But then at the same time, it went through its phases. Like in the early 80s when Beat Street came out, the breaking movies, and Breaking 1 and Breaking 2, it was global. It was huge all around the world. They had they did a showcase in the Olympics back then in the 80s. The whole world was doing it at some point, and then it got played out.
Okay.
And everybody started to diss it. And then it made its resurgence in the late 80s, early 90s. And started to become popular again, especially in the West Coast, heavy. And in New York, the birthplace, breaking from the Bronx. And because a lot of people in Europe specifically, they kind of never stopped,
okay.
in the 80s. When it was played out here in America, they kept going and they took it to another level. Like some of these guys like Storm, from Battle Squad, that's his crew name. And there's a lot of other Europeans at the time that were innovating and stuff like that too. And they came to the States and showed everybody how good they were. And that helped like reignite, spark the US to pick it back up again. And here we are now, 2025, and breaking is thriving and flourishing. It's crazy.
You did some battles over in Japan, right?
Yeah, tons.
Do you know when breaking got popular in Japan?
It was already out there in the early 80s, from the movies like and documentaries like Wild Style. They all saw that stuff.
Okay.
And then these guys that were in the documentary, they're my friends from Rocksteady crew, like Crazy Legs and Ken Swift and Mr. Wiggles and all these guys, they were touring at that time. So if they had the documentary Wild Style, they would do the Wild Style tour, and they would go out to Japan and perform and go out to Europe and perform. And that's how all Japan got to see them and get inspired. And yeah, so they kept it up and kept breaking all over the world. But it's all inspired from a lot of those documentaries and movies.
That's crazy. So was that like, you said it came out of the Bronx in the 80s? You said the 80s is when it blew up, but like
the 70s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But the movies, like Beat Street came out, I want to say 82, 81, 82. Breaking 1 and 2 around the same time in those documentaries, all around the early 80s.
And that's just what propelled it to...
Yeah, that's what got it out to the world.
Okay. It's in the Olympics now.
Yes, it was.
I was about to say,
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about this? I know, like, wasn't that kind of controversial or something along those lines, like the judging or something?
The ray gun situation was definitely controversial.
Okay.
I mean, the media has a way of just grabbing onto something and making it a huge story,
I know very little about this whole thing, so forgive my ignorance, but like, what?
You're lucky.
Okay. So like, what happened with the whole thing? From someone that's in the breaking world, not like some writer for some journalistic output.
Yeah. So breaking in the Olympics, I was one of the Olympic judges, not at the Olympics, but I judged all, like, a lot of the qualifiers leading up, because there's a whole circuit. They put them through the gauntlet. Like, they had to win so many competitions because they only pick 2 people per country, like one guy and one girl, So there's so many good people all around the world from every country. So I was judging all those qualifiers and stuff, and leading up, things were good. We all wanted to see it go to the Olympics, and it was kind of like it was untouched territory. We never seen it. It's something the Olympics have never seen before. It's the first dance ever to be accepted in the Olympics. There is no other dance in the Olympics. The thing about breaking is it's not just a competition. It's dancing. It's an art form.
Yeah, it's like an expression.
It's not a basketball game. Mm-hmm. It's not it's not boxing. It's an art form. So that's where it gets tricky for the general public, right? Yes, we're battling and we're trying to make it a sport, but it's not a sport. But they want to label that to get the general public to watch it, right? I understand. I get it. But long story short, I think that overall, if I had to give it a grade, I would give it a C+ with breaking in the Olympics. We got to play original music, which is huge. The breakers that competed killed it, smashed it. But of course, there's going to be things that you can clean up. It was the first time ever done, So there's stuff that you can work on to make better, which happens through progress of throwing more events and being in the Olympics longer, right? I'm sure if we looked at whatever.
I mean, like ice skating. I don't know. Like ice skating's artistic in some capacity. I mean,
I'm sure if we go back and looked at the first time it was in the Olympics, I bet it was a hot mess, But it got better through progression. So that's where it is. We were just in the baby stages of breaking being in the Olympics. And, that situation that happened with Ray Gun and the whole media spin and them trying to make us look like, we're just having seizures on the floor and some bullshit.
Yeah.
Without even watching the competition. They're just watching highlights of this one person that didn't even make it past the prelims. And that's the story. So, it's unfortunate, but maybe it's for the better, Maybe, a lot of people think that breaking wasn't meant to be in the Olympics,
Is it going to be in the Olympics again, or was it like a trial thing? Do you know?
So with the Olympic, the rules or how when a new sport comes into the Olympics, it has to be accepted 2 times in a row, and then it's a staple.
Okay.
Right. So we got accepted into Paris, and then LA denied it, which is fucking crazy because breaking was created in the States, but our government never supported breaking anyways. They don't give a shit, so it came down to, and this is before that, 6 months before breaking went to Paris in the Olympics. So a lot of people think it's because that girl, Ray Gun. It's not because of her. It was already decided 6 months before. So it was already doomed,
Oh yeah, it was fucked from the start.
We didn't have a chance. But so it came down to breaking and a couple other sports. They had to choose. They had one more slot left in LA. I'm talking about.
Do you know what they picked?
They picked squash. Yeah. But apparently it's business. Apparently squash is massive like in India, and it just makes a lot of money. So it's a business move,
Yeah, and the IOC has their own interesting.
Exactly.
Not like the IOC is a spotless organization.
Come on, man. But 2032, I think, the Olympics is in Australia. Funny enough, that girl's from Australia. It's got a chance to go back there. So if they accept it, then that's 2 times it'll be in forever.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be cool, but it could be not cool too.
I was about to say it could be a disaster.
Just depends how you look at it.
I would really like to see like a breakdown. I don't watch the Olympics. I've got
for you.
Gripe with the IOC. Like I think the IOC is crooked as fuck. So like I don't really.
Yeah.
But I would love to see like a breakdown of like all of the admissions into the Olympics of like what they allow in and then like what gets kicked out because of that. I don't know. Squash is cool. Me and my roommate in college played a bunch of like racquetball, which is like close-ish.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I don't know if that'd
I've never
be
watched it, so I just and I'm a breaking practitioner, so I just know that breaking is like nothing else in the world.
Squash is 2 dudes in a plastic box that just smash a ball off of a wall, and it's like it's cool, but it's a
sport,
Yeah,
so
it's not artistic in that way, I guess. It's like,
but that's
very
what I'm saying.
cut
Like
and dry.
that's more of a sport than breaking is a sport. So that could be another reason why they chose that as well. But it's all business, man. They chose it because of the money.
I was about to say they got to figure out how they can get paid off of it. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Like that's got to be I would imagine they would get really, really good breaking judges. Obviously, you were involved. You said at the lower levels, but it's like that's got to be really difficult to go out and decide if this person is going to get a gold medal in the Olympics or not. But it really, like you said, it's art, and some people love modern art. Some people hate modern art. Some people love sculptures. Some people hate them. And so it's like the wrong judge watches like a fantastic performance, but it's not like what he would have done if he had the ability. So he's like,
yeah,
no thanks.
And that's another another thing that judging is a huge thing that needs to progress, because our judging has a long way to go too, because breaking is so subjective. It's so creative. So we're judging off originality, musicality, a lot of different elements, right? So, and it's round for round and it's fast. So you got to be quick. We're there with our iPads with five criteria, like a fader, and we're judging round for round. It's nonstop. So we got to be like looking here, like kind of like doing this without even looking down, so we don't miss anything. Because 1 second it could be like a flip into a roll back, one arm freeze. Like it happens that fast, which is crucial to winning or losing that round, right? And there's no rest in between rounds for us, for the judges.
Oh yeah, so it's like
when one guy goes, another guy's out. When one girl goes out, another one's out. So you just got to be quick, and that takes a lot of practice. On top of being a good practitioner yourself, for me, I only think the judges that should be up there should be world champions that have been through the fire, that know exactly what it is. But that's not the case. They kind of just, if you pass a test and pay the money, you could be up there.
That seems so backwards.
It's insane, right?
That's like saying you're going to let someone judge an MMA fight because they passed the test. It's like, well, but you've never done any of this stuff. It's one thing to like theoretically know it. It's another thing to actually know it in practice.
Yeah. But they do choose like practitioners, but they're not at the level. A lot of them aren't. They're low level, and they've always been low level, and nothing wrong with that. But they weren't world champions.
Yeah.
It's a different level. So I think of myself competing as a 20-year-old, like however old these guys are in the Olympics and the girls. And if I'm in that situation, I would want to look up and see somebody like me as a judge. I'd be like, oh, I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
He understands. He's been through this shit at the highest levels. He's a champion. Rather than looking up and being like, who is that? I've never seen him before.
Fuck is
you know
that
what
guy?
I mean? Why is he? How did he?
And that guy that no one even inside the breaking community that has ever heard of is the one that's going to decide if you're on the podium or not.
Could be
in the fucking Olympics.
Could be.
That's kind of nuts.
So that's the cleaning up I'm talking about. Stuff like that. It's huge.
Yeah,
and
I kind of I totally agree with what you were saying about it's the first iteration.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever perfect the first time. Like that's the reason why there's very few people that are at the top, is because you have to keep doing the thing and iterating off of it and cleaning this up, cleaning that up. And that's how you go from like an idea to a world champion. You can't expect that the actual sport itself is going to go from like a test in the Olympics to a widely watched event without giving it like a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah. And that's why I say the first time, considering all the factors, it went really well. But you have to watch it to see that. Right. And people don't have the attention span they're just going to look on social media and see whatever things that are being posted by the media sources, and all that we're posting was bullshit.
I was going to say the only thing that they knew that was getting views, clicks, likes, whatever, shares was this 15-second clip of this. I mean, again, I don't know any of the stuff. Like, right. I remember vaguely seeing like tweets about it that were just, like you said, like wildly dismissive because you screenshot one particular portion of it. You're like, oh, can you believe this is an Olympic sport?
Yeah. So they start making a mockery of it.
Yeah.
Right. But they're not showing the real practitioners that were competing. If they put one clip of anybody that was in the top 8 that made it to the top 8, they'd be like, holy shit, like how can humans do this? But they don't show any of that.
People do the same thing with other sports. It's like you always like, if you go to like a bar and you watch an MMA fight, there's always like some guy that's got like a beer gut that's never trained anything, never touched a weight, can't walk 10,000 steps in a day. And he's like, well, I would just stand up if that guy tried to hold me down. It's like, oh, would you? Oh, you would? Okay, lay down, try and stand up. I'm not even good and I'll hold you down. Like, yeah, that's
the world we're living in, man.
Everyone's a critic.
Yeah, everybody's a critic.
Everybody knows what's going on. Everyone's an expert in their own head.
Yeah. So
the World Championship, level of breaking, how did that get set up to where there started to be like more formalized competitions where people are actually going out like winning titles for breaking?
Yeah. So the world championships started probably like the big ones. There was some in the 80s, but it was like very rare.
Mm-hmm.
It really started like more started happening in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had this event. It was like our Super Bowl, you would say, called Battle of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Germany. Now it goes to different countries every year. And, they're still doing it. But that was like the biggest world championship to win. And that was around, I think the first one was in 90 or 91.
Okay.
And it's still going on today. So,
long running.
As for us, me and my crew is Style Elements.
Okay.
And we came up with the crew name in 93.
Okay.
And we're known for, I'm going to put it in like jiu-jitsu terms, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So fundamental jiu-jitsu, you have the gi.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's like 80s breaking.
Okay.
Right? When we came in, it was like no gi.
Okay.
We started bringing in all kinds of new moves, transitions, flows that were unlocked, just like how things get unlocked when you take the gi off, right? Because now you have nothing to hold on to and you can transition quicker or more creative maybe. I don't want to speak wrong about it, but it just opened a lot of new pathways. That's what we did with breaking. So we kind of like created this future foundation that all the practitioners around the world are doing now. My crew had a big hand in making that happen, along with other creative crews in the 90s as well. But we're known as one of the most innovative breaking crews of all time. So, it's like 80s no gi, 80s gi, 90s no gi. So, things just evolved like quick. And so with the competition, when the competition started getting bigger, we were already ahead of the game. Of course, there were crews that were like, we watched them. We're like, okay, we're going to have to battle them. So we got to get ready. So that's how we created all this stuff. We didn't have much to watch. There wasn't YouTube at the time. So we had to create, so, and it was a great thing for us. So when it was our turn, we won championships in California. We started making a big name in our area, and those videos circulated around the world, got to these promoters like Battle of the Year promoter and all them. And in 97, they wanted us to come and represent the USA at Battle of the Year. We were like, yeah, let's do it. They brought us out and we smoked it. Like we won like easily.
Handedly. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. Smoked.
Hell yeah.
Everybody. And that day, everything changed in breaking.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like a whole new way of breaking.
When you guys are like getting ready for this,
and we were the first U.S. crew to ever win Battle of the Year.
Was it Europeans that were winning it prior, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was majority out there, right?
Yeah. When you guys are getting ready for that, like amongst yourselves, are you like, we are about to fucking tear this thing up? Like, did y'all kind of have a feeling going out there?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew we were going to win. We came to win. But we also knew that the crews that we watched previous years, like Battle Squad, Enemy Squad, I know you don't know these names, but these crews are like really fucking good and we're dominating. We're like, we're gonna have to go against one of these top crews and do what we do. Let the chips fall where they may. And so that's how we prepared, just knowing that we're gonna have to battle some of the best. Unfortunately, the crews that won previously, they didn't compete.
Okay.
That the year we went, but it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It was about the impact we made, and the kind of changing of the guard and breaking.
When you're talking about the innovation side of it, is that something where it's like you're saying, like unlocked? Is that just something where it's like, you're just testing around things like while you're training, like just seeing like what you can get away with, like what's possible. And you're like, okay, well, I'm falling when I try, like, or crashing or whatever you want, like whatever particular like misstep you're having happen, like along the way, it's like, okay, I can hit that like 1 out of every like 100 times. Like, and then it's just like trying to refine that to where you can hit it consistently. And then, I mean, just continually just basically the limitation your body. Like, what's the biggest limitation to like the innovation in your opinion?
Yeah. Well, a lot of our best moves come from crashes.
Okay.
Right. So, when I train, I'm always filming myself so I can see, because I freestyle a lot. So I could see what's good, what to keep and what to discard. Right. And sometimes when I mess up, I'm like, that was crazy, and so I'll slow it down and see, how did I do that? And then my mess up become like really dope moves. Of course, I clean it up to where I don't crash and I let go into something, maybe a transition, a freeze, a power move or something. Everything leads to something. It's a flow, right? So that's how a lot of original moves are created, just from freestyle, trying different things. But like I said, breaking is just like it's chess, man. It's a Rubik's Cube, and there's so many different formulas. There's no right way or wrong way, and you could take it wherever you want. But it's really the flow. Like, when you understand the flow, then sky's the limit,
What carryover or crossover do you see between breaking and jiu-jitsu, having done both?
Well, there's a lot of similarities. One being the flow. The number one I would put at the top of the pyramid is the flow. The ground game, the flow, is more similar than people understand. And I know this because I've been watching jiu-jitsu as long as I've been breaking. I started watching MMA from UFC like everybody else, Royce Gracie. But I really got inspired from Rickson Gracie when he came out with Choke, this DVD documentary. Have you seen it? Okay, amazing, right? And that was him around 95, winning in Japan, Pride, and just smoking everybody. But it wasn't just the jiu-jitsu, it was his lifestyle, him as a person, seeing how he trains and, all these cool methods that he was doing. And a lot of it was very similar to breaking, right? So so I've been watching it for a long time, and there's tons of similarities. So, in breaking, small things like we wear dry fits or rash guards.
Okay.
We've been breaking those so we could spin better and stuff like that, right?
That makes sense.
Mock necks, slippery, tight gear. The groundwork, the flow, a lot of the moves are very similar. We don't have a partner, like there's no contact. We're by ourselves, but it's the movements, it's the transitions. A lot of them are very similar. And that's what I'm going to break down. Like, I'm doing a mini documentary called Break Jitsu. I might change the name. I don't know yet. Still throwing it up. But talking about the similarities and breaking down and showing a jiu-jitsu move that looks like a breaking move, and, just break. I think it's a cool thing to bring both of those worlds together. I think that needs to happen for a lot of jiu-jitsu guys to get into breaking, and a lot of breaking cats to get into jiu-jitsu. I think that if both sides cross-train more, they would both get way better. And this is why I have good friends that I used to battle that got their black belt in like 3 years. That got into jiu-jitsu, like my boy, Gio Freakazoid, 10th Planet, and his brother Boogeyman.
I was going to ask about Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo, yeah. So they went to his school, 10th Planet, as breakers already understanding the ground game of breaking, which transitions so easily. Well, I shouldn't say easily, but it was a smooth transition into the jiu-jitsu ground game. And them having that knowledge of the breaking ground game already helped them get their black belt so fast.
I was going to say, because it's like, in the way I'm thinking about it is that it would honestly it is more difficult to move your body through space and manipulate your body when you don't have any sort of like counter pressure. But in jiu-jitsu, you don't just have yourself to move off of. You've got a whole other person that you can like use for additional leverage or to contort yourself into
and manipulate.
Yeah,
and you have your tricks, and you have your moves. If I pull somebody this way, then I can go into this because he's going to react like this. It's reactions, and so in that sense, that's different because we don't have that. But the flow is the main thing I'm talking about in the ground. Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, those guys, they obsessed over jujitsu, and my friend Plaster, he's good friends with Eddie Bravo. He said that these guys would come in and we're just obsessed with jujitsu and would train combos, drill combos like all day long. And he said it pained him at one point to keep promoting them so fast, but they were just killing everybody in competition that they were undeniable, and a lot of that is accredited to their breaking background, hands down.
I was going to say, it's like if you get really, really good at one thing, it's like, okay, well, now I have the mental framework on how to get good at things. And it's like, okay, well, I was doing 4 hours of breaking practice. I can just tweak what I'm doing and I can put in 4 hours of jiu-jitsu practice. And now... And I already know how to move, which like most people, which is shocking, just don't really know how to move like their self through space, like regardless. And dancers of any capacity, I feel like, get rid of that real quick because it's like you have body control and all these other things. And then you just like kind of channel that into whatever. Like
when you can learn how to manipulate your own body and become more flexible by going in positions you normally don't go in, that's going to open your game up so much more.
Yeah.
That's why I like even podcasts right now, we're talking about it. Like nobody talks about this stuff. We can inspire more people to cross train.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to help. It's going to open your mind and open your body to do new techniques and new moves, new transitions, new flows, ideas that you weren't even thinking about.
It's like your body gets like stuck like skis, like in a rut where it's like your skis are just like embedded like deep in this thing. And then all of a sudden it's like, if that's that rut that you're stuck in is just jujitsu and you go and you tweak that and you start doing some breaking, it's like, okay, now I'm seeing that I can do all these other things and like my mind's kind of open to it. And so now your brain is at least like aware that there's these other possibilities. So then when you go back to jujitsu,
there you go.
You're like, oh, well, I did this over there. Okay, let me just see if I can modify. Oh shit, that really works well.
Yep. It's all experimental, man. And stepping out of your comfort zone, going into other worlds and bringing them back into your world and manipulating it.
Yeah. It's like, I think it was Victor Lomachenko, the boxer, if you're familiar.
Yeah.
I think his dad made him stop boxing for like 2 or 3 years. Like when he was
got him into dancing.
Made him get into like traditional Russian dancing.
And then his footwork was like the best.
And now he's, and then he turned into fucking Victor Lomachenko. Like,
there you go.
I think that's his name. I'm not a huge boxer.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I'm going to look like a dumbass if I'm sitting here saying that confidently and I'm wrong.
But that's the cool thing, man. Venturing out. Like I always try to do that, you know, because I'm always trying to expand and learn and just stay a student, always a white belt,
It's a good mentality.
Yeah.
Like always got something to learn. I'm going to grab my handy dandy list of notes here to make sure I'm not like missing something that I really wanted to touch on.
Yep.
Oh yeah. What's something like as it relates to breaking? What's something that's going on behind the scenes outside of just like the physical contortion that's really difficult about breaking that people don't know is going on like in the background? Like you were talking a little bit about staying on beat, about kind of figuring out how to transition between everything, or those kind of the main ones.
There's a lot because of how open breaking is. So there's different realms, right? And I'm one of those guys that did everything. Like I just enjoyed everything. I enjoyed ciphering, what we talked about earlier, just going in small ciphers and dancing all night long with people. And if a battle pops off, it pops off. Like I enjoy that. Like I welcome that, competition. I love competing. That's another side of breaking. That's a whole nother world, right? The entertainment industry. That's a whole nother world. Now you're talking about movies and choreographing for artists and music videos and commercials and all this stuff. Way different than than competing and ciphers, right?
Okay.
And then you get deeper into the breaker themselves, right? Some breakers are well-rounded like me. Some breakers just like to do footwork. They're footwork heads, right? Some breakers just like to do top rock. Some breakers are just power move breakers, just tricks, So then you got them broken off into elements. You got what's the word? When somebody just specializes, specialists,
yeah,
right? But and then you got your well-rounded people. So it all depends on what your journey is and how you want to, where you want to take your breaking. But competitively, it can be tough because there's different judges all the time, and not all the time do they judge off certain criteria. Like the old school way of judging, there are no, like how we judge leading up to the Olympics and the Olympics and all that with categories and stuff. There's none of that.
Okay.
They're just point left or point right, so it's all what they thought, what they prefer. So that's where the subjectiveness comes in. So depending on what type of judge you get is like kind of leads to what style you portray in the battle, to kind of please that person, which sucks. Like I never do that. I always stick to my guns, and do me all the time. But a lot of people, they feel the pressure to change to what the judges might prefer, So in that sense, it's still messy.
That's so crazy to me that in something that's like, again, like there's like real consequences to like winning or losing, whatever these competitions are. It's like there's so much that is entirely random that you can't really prepare for. Like you can kind of prepare for it by being well-rounded and having like a larger bag of tricks or like a larger repertoire, whatever, to go to. But it's like, well, I don't know who the judge is going to be. I don't know what music I'm going to listen to. Like there's all these unknowns. Yeah. And then it's like, all right, man, your turn. Go for it. And so it's like you're just improving in the entire thing, freestyling the entire thing.
It's the ultimate test, man. And if you can do that at a high level, you're on some shit.
You're on some shit.
Yeah, straight up. So, and there's a lot of other things to look at too. Like we have repeats, like where you're not supposed to do the same move twice in a competition. Like you got to come with new shit every single round. So if you're like, that's a no-no. If you do the same move twice, that's already like a mark off. There's all kinds, yeah.
What other rules are there in these things? Jesus Christ. I mean, how can you make it harder?
Yeah, they're not necessarily rules, but it's just like an unspoken thing. Like we know not to repeat. I mean, these days it's more lenient, but the era that I come from, you would never do the same move twice. Like if I'm at a club dancing all night, I'm not doing the same move twice. If I'm in a competition, I'm not doing the same move twice. Now it's more accepted. And the biggest thing from 90s, 80s, 90s to now is we had a thing where no biting. You couldn't steal other people's signature moves or, things that they brought to the table, right? Now everybody takes everybody's shit. Like it doesn't matter anymore, which is weird as fuck for me because I'm come from the pre-internet era.
Yeah.
Where this was like the biggest goal. If there was ever a rule, that was the rule. That was a golden rule. Don't bite. If we did somebody else's move back then, we could get beat up. We get clowned, laughed at. Like some people probably never broke again because of that. They got so humiliated. They were like, fuck this. I don't want to be a part of this culture, But now it's more kumbaya,
I was about to say like that the internet comes out and video starts to work and all of a sudden everyone's like, well, shit, I saw this guy in Japan do that and I saw that guy in Germany do that. I'm going to do both of those things in mine and it's all.
Yeah. And now it's evolution, like I was saying earlier about creating future foundation. Like some of these moves just become bigger than you, and people start doing them all around the world and it just catches fire, wildfire, and, just becomes popular. So, but that didn't happen like in the 90s.
It was just kind of everyone had their shtick of
Yeah,
like, well, these guys do that.
Being
these
original,
guys do that.
What are you bringing to the table?
Do you think that with the internet and the wider dispersion of breaking knowledge moves, whatever, do you think that that's good for the innovation in the long run? Or do you think that it holds it back in a way?
It's both. It definitely pushes the envelope. People can get better way faster, obviously. They have more resources, more people, more events, more everything, you know? They have all this at their fingertips now. They could put stuff in slow motion, watch it 1,000 times, and really understand details. So in that sense, the evolution is crazy. Like right now, you got like 5-year-old girls in Japan that are doing air flares, like flying, right? 5-year-old girls. And like some guys, little boys in Pampers are doing head spins and like upside down and doing flares. And it's crazy. It's crazy because not only are the moves hard, to think like that and to understand your body like that as a baby is just insane. You know, it's intelligence, right?
To have that spatial awareness, 100%.
Yeah. And just to understand how to unlock those kind of moves, right? So we're headed in a crazy direction. Like in the next 10 years, breaking is going to be, it's already crazy, but it's going to be on a whole nother level. So in those senses, it's good. The negative is less originality. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking is like, in a sense, it kind of blunts the like individual creativity because your ideas all start to be tainted by what you've consumed. And it's like, if you're living in an era where there's not
exactly what you just said,
a wide base of breaking content to consume, given two people in two different locations can wind up at the same place, but they might wind up in the same place through a different pathway, which leads to more like break-offs, if you will, not like break-off, whatever, you know what I mean?
Battles. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like also great minds think alike. So people are going to come up with the same ideas in different countries and stuff like that. But right now with the power of the internet and media and all this stuff that people have to watch, like people don't even go to the jams no more because they can watch the live stream.
Yeah.
You know, so it kills the feeling like of wanting to be there, you know. But if you're a real like artist, you'll want to be there still, you know, and live it, not watch it through a screen and feel it. Yeah. But a lot of people don't. They would rather sit home and be introverted, and nothing wrong with that, and just watch it on their computer and whatnot, because they do have that now, the live stream. But the main thing, and it's what you kind of said already, is that even if you don't want to, even if you want to be original and you don't want to copy other people, these kids are watching their favorite breakers online over and over and over, like religiously every day, hours and hours of watching breaking footage. And then they go practice, and they might want to be original, but they watch their favorites so much that as soon as they hit the floor, they start to move like them.
Yeah.
You know, unintentionally. It's just already in their head, right? So you got to deal with all these factors too.
I've heard the same thing in comedy, where a lot of comics are like, I can't watch other people's comedy because then when I go on stage, there's like a part of me that's trying to speak or use inflection or tonality like these other comics.
They start stealing styles and jokes without even wanting to.
Exactly. It's like, and now you have this thought that's 100% unique in your head, but really it's 10% unique, and 90% of it is like a conglomeration of these other comics and bits that you've seen.
Yeah.
Like,
and so that's why I have a limit on social media, you know.
Oh, that's smart.
Like I don't really like watching breaking on the screen. I love watching it live.
Okay.
So I'm not that guy that's going to be watching breaking all day at home at all. Like if it's something big, I'll watch it once, like, you know, live if I'm not there. But other than that, I'm not watching people like on the end. I live it, you know. So I keep it like that.
When do you think kids started getting into breaking, like around the turn of the internet or dawn of the internet?
Oh, kids have always been into breaking.
Okay.
Even before the internet. So, but as far as like from birth,
yeah, I meant like
this
young
was like
kids.
90s. Yeah,
okay.
Because their dads were B-boys or their mom was a B-girl. You know what I mean? So they were raised into the culture. Kids like that, I would say 90s, yeah, from birth. So when I started, 12 years old was considered a young age. Now they're breaking out the womb.
Yeah.
Right? It's insane. So that's why these kids are so fucking good, man.
I was going to say, it's like there's something about like the neuroplasticity of kids. Like I was talking to one of the kids instructors at Odyssey, and he was like, it's so funny because these kids, like I'll give them concepts of like, well, here's some things that you need to be looking out for. Like when you're getting to whatever, a side mount, like you need to be keeping this and that and the other. And he's like, and they'll just take those same concepts and like in their own head, like create another, like whatever that is, like whether that's a sweep or whatever, but that's already like a well-established jujitsu like move that's like taught in classes. The kids never learned it, but the kids like neuroplasticity is able to just like piece them like the moves together or the concepts together and be like, well, I bet if I just did it that way in this context, I could get like a similar result. And then they'll just do it. And Campbell was like, I will sit there and watch these kids go through a sweep to pass sequence. And I'm like, I've never taught that kid any of that shit.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's the same thing with watching kids break, like
that's cool.
Babies and stuff rolling around. Still hella like their flexibility is on another level.
Made of rubber.
So they do some crazy flows and combos, and I'm just like, I get ideas from them too. But yeah, it's totally true. Yeah, just let them freestyle, man. I mean, give them some fundamentals and just let them go. You know,
that's fucking cool.
Hell yeah,
dude. I know you need to get out of here in an hour. I know we're like right at an hour.
Awesome, man.
Dude, this has been awesome. Crumbs.
Yeah,
any sort of like social media, like the documentary you're working on, like any of that you want to plug?
Sure, man. Sure. And like I said, man, we got to bring that jiu-jitsu and breaking world together, man. You know, so shout out to all the jiu-jitsu practitioners, all my B-boys and B-girls out there. You know, if you could get a hold of me, you could watch some of my content on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/bboycrumbs, BBOYCRUMBS. That's also the same on my Instagram, bboycrumbs. I also have my academy. I have a breaking academy out here in Atlanta. Yeah. So I teach, you know, all the time. Anybody ever want to drop by the academy, come on through. It's 6-Step Academy. And you can get the address and all the info, class times and all that at 6stepacademy.com. So yeah, that's it, man. I'm out here in Georgia now, just building, you know. We're gonna build that breaking community huge over here too, and get these kids global.
Fuck yeah, dude. This is awesome. I really appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for coming out, man.
Yes,
and shout out for Rick for putting us in contact.
Yeah,
Rick James.
Yes, sir. All right, brother.